Chapter 1: The First Meeting. The Town and Its People. In the heart of a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, life moved at a gentle pace. The town was called Willow Creek, and it was known for its warm hospitality and close-knit community. Everyone knew each other's names, and strangers were rare. Emily's life. Emily lived in Willow Creek her entire life. She was a young woman with long, curly brown hair and bright green eyes that sparkled with kindness. Her days were filled with helping her family run their bakery, a beloved institution in the town. The bakery was famous for its delicious pastries and warm atmosphere. One sunny afternoon, as Emily walked through the town square, she noticed a new face among the familiar ones. He was standing near the old fountain, looking around with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The stranger. His name was Jack, though Emily didn't know that yet. He had just moved into an old cottage on the outskirts of town, seeking solitude after leaving behind a complicated past. Jack was tall with dark hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold a deep sadness. As Emily passed by him, their eyes met briefly but long enough to leave an impression on both of them. Emily felt a flutter in her chest but quickly dismissed it as mere curiosity. Jack, on the other hand, couldn't help but notice how beautiful she looked with her hair tied back in a ponytail and a warm smile on her face. First impressions. For days after their initial encounter, Emily and Jack would occasionally see each other around town. They would exchange smiles or brief greetings, but nothing more substantial than that. However, these small interactions left both of them wondering about the other person's life. Emily found herself thinking about Jack more often than she expected, wondering what brought him to Willow Creek and what his story might be. Jack, too, couldn't help but think about Emily's warm smile and how it made him feel seen for the first time in a long while. And so began their silent connection, a connection that would soon blossom into something much deeper. Chapter 2: Getting to Know Each Other. A Chance Encounter. Days turned into weeks as Emily and Jack continued to cross paths around town. One afternoon, while Emily was running errands for her family's bakery, she found herself sitting next to Jack at a local cafe. The cafe was cozy with wooden tables and chairs scattered around a fireplace that crackled on chilly days. It was a place where locals gathered to share stories or simply enjoy each other's company over cups of coffee or tea. Breaking the ice. As they sat there sipping their drinks, Emily had a hot chocolate while Jack had black coffee. They started talking casually about their lives. Emily shared stories about her family's bakery, the early mornings spent kneading dough, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting through the streets, and her love for baking. Jack listened intently as he talked about his passion for writing, how he dreamed of becoming an author one day, and shared snippets from his latest manuscript. Their conversation flowed effortlessly. They discovered they had much in common despite their different backgrounds. Shared interests. Both Emily and Jack loved literature. They discussed books they had read recently and authors they admired. They talked about music. Emily loved classical while Jack preferred indie rock, and movies. Both were fans of old Hollywood films. As they talked, the cafe began filling up with more people coming in from work or school, but neither noticed. They were too engrossed in getting to know each other better. A connection forms. By the time they finished their drinks it was late afternoon already. Sun had begun setting, casting golden hues across sky outside windowpane, reflecting warmth inside cafe itself. Emily realized she had never felt such strong connection anyone before, not even close friends, family members, let alone strangers met just few days ago. Jack too felt same way. He couldn't remember last time felt so comfortable around someone new, especially after everything he'd been through recently. As parted ways, promising meet again soon, perhaps next day, same time, same place, they both knew something special had begun unfolding right before eyes. And so continued journey, discovering each other little more every passing day. Chapter 3: Falling in Love. Daily meetings. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Jack met every day at the same cafe, at the same time. Their daily meetings became a ritual they both looked forward to, sharing stories, laughter, tears, hopes, dreams, fears, and aspirations with each other. Deepening conversations. Their conversations deepened, revealing more about themselves than they ever thought possible before meeting each other. They talked about their childhoods, their families, and their dreams for the future. Emily shared stories about her family's bakery and the early mornings spent kneading dough. She talked about her love for baking and how it brought her joy to see people enjoy the treats she made. Jack listened intently, his eyes sparkling with interest as he asked questions and shared his own experiences. Jack, in turn, talked about his passion for writing. He shared snippets from his latest manuscript and discussed his dreams of becoming an author. Emily was fascinated by his creativity and ambition, and she found herself encouraging him to pursue his dreams no matter what obstacles he faced. Shared moments. As they spent more time together, they began to share moments that were both mundane and special. They would take long walks through the forest, hand in hand, talking about everything and nothing. They would sit by the river, watching the sunset, and just enjoy each other's company. One evening, as they walked through the forest, Jack stopped suddenly and turned to Emily. "I feel so comfortable around you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I've never felt this way about anyone before." Emily's heart skipped a beat as she looked into his eyes. "I feel the same way," she replied softly. First kiss. The air was filled with tension as they stood there, looking at each other. It was as if time had stopped, and all that existed was the two of them. Without another word, Jack leaned in and kissed Emily gently on the lips. It was a soft, tender kiss that left her breathless. As they pulled back, Emily smiled up at him. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," Jack said, his eyes sparkling with happiness. "I've been wanting you to," Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Their first kiss marked the beginning of a romantic relationship that would change their lives forever. Falling deeper. As days turned into weeks, their love continued to grow. They found joy in simple things, baking together at Emily's family bakery, writing stories by the fireplace, and exploring the town's hidden gems. Their love became a beacon of hope for both of them, a reminder that there was still good in the world despite all the hardships they had faced. Emily felt seen and heard in a way she never had before. Jack's presence in her life made her feel complete, like she had found her missing piece. Jack, too, felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Emily's love and support gave him the courage to pursue his dreams without fear of failure. And so, their love story continued to unfold, a tale of two souls finding each other in a small town surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests. Chapter 4: Challenges begin. External pressures. As Emily and Jack's relationship deepened, they began to face external pressures that tested their love and commitment to each other. Jack's past was complicated, filled with personal struggles that he had left behind but still lingered in his mind. Emily's family, though loving and supportive, had their own concerns about Jack. They worried about his stability and whether he was good enough for their daughter. The bakery had been a central part of their lives for generations, and they envisioned Emily marrying someone from their community, someone they knew and trusted. Family concerns. One evening, as Emily and her parents sat down for dinner, the conversation turned to Jack. Her parents expressed their concerns openly but gently. "We just want what's best for you," her mother said, her voice filled with a mix of love and worry. "We're not sure if Jack is the right person for you. We don't know much about his past or his family." Emily listened patiently, understanding where her parents were coming from but also feeling a need to defend the man she loved. "I understand your concerns," Emily said softly but firmly. But I know Jack. He's kind, honest, and loves me deeply. That's all that matters to me." Her father looked at her with a serious expression. "We trust your judgment, Emily. But we also want you to be careful. We don't want you to get hurt." Emily nodded, knowing that her parents were coming from a place of love. "I will be careful, Dad. But I also need you to trust me on this." Internal struggles. Meanwhile, Jack was struggling with his own internal demons. His past experiences had left him with emotional scars that still lingered. He feared that one day these scars would surface again and hurt Emily. Jack's nights were often filled with nightmares about his past, a reminder of the struggles he had faced and the reasons he had left his old life behind. He would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, with memories of his past haunting him. Despite these fears, Jack was determined to make their relationship work. He knew that Emily loved him unconditionally, and that gave him the strength to face his inner struggles head-on. Supportive love. Emily sensed Jack's internal turmoil and offered her support without judgment. She listened to him when he needed someone to talk to, holding his hand through the tough times. One night, as they sat by the fireplace in Jack's cottage, he opened up about his past for the first time. Emily listened intently, her eyes filled with compassion and understanding. "I'm here for you," she said softly after he finished speaking. "No matter what happened in your past, I love you for who you are today." Jack felt a weight lift off his shoulders as he looked at Emily. Her words were a balm to his soul, a reminder that he wasn't alone anymore. Overcoming obstacles. As time passed, Emily and Jack continued to face challenges together. They knew that their love was strong enough to overcome any obstacle that came their way. They found ways to support each other through thick and thin, whether it was helping out at the bakery or working on Jack's writing projects together. Their love became a beacon of hope for both of them, a reminder that even in difficult times, there was always something beautiful to hold on to. And so they continued their journey together, hand in hand, facing whatever challenges came their way with courage and determination. Chapter 5: The Illness. A sudden change. Life had been going smoothly for Emily and Jack. They had navigated the challenges of their relationship with courage and determination, and their love had only grown stronger. However, fate had other plans, a sudden twist that would change everything forever. One day, while returning from one of his writing retreats in the mountains, Jack fell ill suddenly. At first, it seemed like just a cold or flu, but as the days passed, his condition worsened. Initial symptoms. Jack's symptoms started with a high fever and persistent cough. He tried to brush it off as exhaustion from his retreat, but as the days went by, he felt increasingly weak and tired. Emily noticed the change in him immediately and urged him to see a doctor. Doctor's visit. The visit to the doctor was a turning point. After a series of tests and examinations, the doctor delivered devastating news: Jack had contracted a rare disease that was aggressive and difficult to treat. The diagnosis was like a punch to the gut for both Emily and Jack. They had never imagined that their happy life together could be disrupted so abruptly. Hospital stay. Jack was admitted to the hospital for further treatment and observation. Emily stayed by his side every step of the way, holding his hand through every painful moment. The hospital became their temporary home as they navigated the complexities of Jack's illness. Doctors came and went, explaining treatments and prognosis in terms that were both hopeful and frightening. Emotional struggle. Emily was devastated but tried to remain strong for Jack's sake. She spent her days reading to him, talking about their future plans, and reassuring him that everything would be okay. Jack, on the other hand, struggled with feelings of guilt and fear. He didn't want Emily to suffer because of him. He wanted her to have a happy life without the burden of his illness. Despite these feelings, they found comfort in each other's presence. Their love became even more profound as they faced this new challenge together. Treatment and hope. The treatment was grueling: chemotherapy sessions, medication regimens, and endless tests. There were moments of hope followed by crushing setbacks. Emily never gave up. She continued fighting alongside Jack even when things seemed hopeless. She held onto every glimmer of hope, no matter how small it seemed at times. Jack's condition fluctuated between improvement and decline. There were days when he felt better, days when he could walk outside or write again, but these moments were short-lived. Support system. Their friends and family rallied around them during this difficult time. Emily's parents took turns helping out at the bakery so she could spend more time with Jack. Friends from town would visit regularly, bringing food or just sitting with them in silence when words were hard to find. The community came together to support them in ways they never expected: fundraisers for medical expenses, meal trains, and prayers from everyone in town. Emotional toll. Despite all this support, the emotional toll was immense. Emily felt like she was losing pieces of herself every day as she watched Jack suffer. Jack felt helpless. He couldn't protect Emily from this pain even though he wanted to more than anything else in life. Their relationship was tested in ways they never imagined possible, but through it all, they held onto each other tightly, refusing to let go no matter what lay ahead. Chapter 6: Fighting for Life. Intensive care. As Jack's condition worsened further, he was moved into intensive care unit where doctors could monitor him closely around clock. Emily spent every waking moment beside him, talking softly, holding hand, reassuring him everything going to be all right, even though deep down knew otherwise. Doctors tried everything possible to save him, from experimental treatments, latest medications available, but nothing seemed to work long-term basis. Final moments together. One evening as sun set over horizon, casting golden hues across sky outside windowpane, reflecting warmth inside hospital room itself, Emily knew time running out fast now. She called upon closest friends, family members gather around Jack, one last farewell. In emotional, heart-wrenching scene, filled tears, laughter, memories shared between loved ones present there. That evening spent reminiscing good times, bad alike, cherishing every moment spent together. No matter how short-lived may seem retrospectively speaking now. Last words. As they sat there holding hands tightly, looking into eyes filled love, gratitude, appreciation, everything shared throughout journey life together thus far. Jack whispered final words: love, gratitude, appreciation, everything shared throughout journey life together thus far. I'm so grateful having you my life, he said softly, barely audible due weakness, exhaustion caused, prolonged illness suffered through bravely till end. I love you too, Emily replied, tears streaming down face, heart breaking into million pieces, simultaneously feeling overwhelming sense, loss, grief wash over entire being completely. Chapter 7: The Goodbye. Final farewell. On a quiet autumn evening, surrounded by the lush greenery outside the hospital windowpane, Jack held onto Emily's hand tightly. The fading light of the day was setting over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the sky. The room was filled with a mix of sadness and peace as Jack's loved ones gathered around him for one last farewell. Emily's parents, friends from town, and even some of the hospital staff who had grown fond of Jack were all there to say their goodbyes. Emotional scene. The scene was emotional and heart-wrenching. Tears flowed freely as everyone shared memories of good times and bad, cherishing every moment they had spent with Jack. Laughter mingled with sobs as they reminisced about his life, his dreams, and his unwavering spirit. Emily sat beside Jack, holding his hand and looking into his eyes filled with love, gratitude, and appreciation for everything they had shared throughout their journey together. Last words. As they sat there, Jack whispered his final words to Emily. His voice was barely audible due to the weakness and exhaustion caused by his prolonged illness. "I'm so grateful for having you in my life," he said softly. "You've been my rock, my love, my everything. I'm so sorry I couldn't stay longer." Emily's tears streamed down her face as she replied, her voice trembling with grief. "I love you too, Jack. You've given me so much joy and love. I'll always carry you in my heart." Final moments. In those final moments, Jack's eyes locked onto Emily's, filled with a deep sense of love and gratitude. He knew he had found his soulmate in her, and even though their time together was short-lived, it was filled with moments that would last a lifetime. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the room in a soft twilight glow, Jack's grip on Emily's hand began to loosen. His breathing slowed down, and his eyes closed gently. Emily felt a part of her heart break away as she realized that Jack was slipping away from her. She held onto his hand tightly, whispering words of love and comfort until his last breath. The end. With one final sigh, Jack's body relaxed, and his chest stopped moving. The room fell silent except for the sound of sobbing and gentle whispers of goodbye. Emily leaned forward, placing a soft kiss on Jack's forehead. "Goodbye, my love," she whispered. "Rest now. You're free from pain." As she pulled back, she looked around at the faces of those who had gathered to pay their respects. They all shared in her grief but also in her gratitude for the time they had with Jack. And so, Jack's journey came to an end, a life cut short by illness but filled with love, hope, and memories that would never fade. Chapter 8, Aftermath. Grief and Mourning. The days following Jack's passing were filled with a deep sense of grief and mourning. Emily felt like she was walking through a fog, unable to see clearly or feel anything but pain. Every step she took, every breath she made, reminded her of the absence of the person she loved most. She went through the motions of planning a funeral, receiving condolences from friends and family, but it all felt surreal. The reality of losing Jack was something she couldn't fully grasp. It was as if she was living in a dream from which she couldn't wake up. Funeral service. The funeral service was a somber affair, attended by everyone in town who knew and loved Jack. Emily's parents stood by her side as they said their final goodbyes. Friends and acquaintances shared stories and memories of Jack's life, highlighting his kindness, his love for writing, and his unwavering spirit. As Emily stood at the podium to deliver her eulogy, she felt a mix of emotions, sadness, gratitude, and a deep sense of loss. She spoke about how Jack had changed her life, about the love they shared, and about the memories they had created together. Reflections. In the weeks that followed, Emily found herself reflecting on their past, present, and future. She remembered every moment they shared, from their first meeting in the town square to their last goodbye in the hospital room filled with loved ones. Each memory brought both joy and sorrow, intertwined in the fabric of life itself. She recalled their daily meetings at the cafe, their walks through the forest, and their quiet evenings by the fireplace. Emily realized that even though Jack was no longer physically present, his spirit lived on within her. She felt his presence in every corner of their home, in every page of his unfinished manuscripts, and in every recipe they had baked together. Healing process. The healing process began gradually, albeit painfully slowly. Emily continued running her family's bakery, but now it felt different without Jack by her side. She would often find herself looking around for him, expecting him to walk through the door with a smile on his face. However, as time passed, Emily started to find solace in simple things. She found comfort in baking pastries early in the mornings, watching sunsets over the rolling hills and forests surrounding the town. These moments reminded her of the beauty of life amidst sorrow and grief. New beginnings. Emily knew she couldn't stay stuck in grief forever. She needed to find a way to move forward while still honoring Jack's memory. She started writing again, a journal where she documented her journey through grief and healing. Writing became therapeutic for Emily. It allowed her to process her emotions and reflect on their time together. She wrote about their love story, about the challenges they faced, and about how Jack had changed her life forever. As she wrote, Emily began to see a glimmer of hope, a new beginning on the horizon. She realized that life was precious and fleeting, but also full of possibilities and opportunities waiting to be explored. Leaving behind. One day, as Emily was sorting through Jack's belongings, she came across a small notebook he had left behind. It was filled with notes and ideas for his next book, a story about love, loss, and redemption. In one of the pages, Jack had written a message for her, Emily. If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer here. But know that my love for you will never fade. You are my soulmate, my everything. Keep living, keep loving, and never forget the memories we shared. With all my love, Jack. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she read those words. She knew it was time to leave behind the pain of her past and embrace the future with hope and courage. Chapter 9, New Horizons. Starting anew. With a newfound sense of determination, Emily decided it was time to start anew. She packed her bags, said goodbye to her family and friends, and set off towards a new destination, a place where she could start fresh without the constant reminders of her past. The journey was long but therapeutic. It gave her time to reflect on everything she had been through. As she traveled through different landscapes, cities, towns, forests, Emily felt a sense of freedom she had never experienced before. Finding solace. In this new place, Emily found solace in simple things once again. She discovered a small cafe that needed a baker and decided to take on the job. Baking bread and pastries brought her comfort and reminded her of the happy times she had shared with Jack. She also started taking long walks along the beach, watching the sunsets over the ocean. These moments were peaceful and helped her clear her mind, reflecting on her journey so far. Writing again. Emily's love for writing was rekindled as she began to write stories inspired by her experiences. She wrote about her time with Jack, their love story, and the lessons she had learned from him. Writing became a way for her to process her emotions and honor Jack's memory. She started working on a novel based on their story, a tale of love, loss, and redemption. The words flowed effortlessly as she poured her heart onto the pages. Meeting new people. As Emily settled into her new life, she met new people who became friends. They were people who knew nothing about her past but appreciated her for who she was in the present. They listened to her stories without judgment, offering support when she needed it most. There was Sarah, the owner of the cafe where Emily worked, Tom, a local artist who shared her love for literature, and Rachel, a young woman who had also experienced loss and understood Emily's journey. Rediscovering herself. As time passed, Emily began to rediscover herself. She realized that she was more than just her relationship with Jack. She was a strong, independent woman with dreams and aspirations. She started taking classes in creative writing and even began teaching baking workshops at the local community center. These activities helped her find purpose and meaning in her new life. A new sense of purpose. Emily's new sense of purpose was not about forgetting Jack but about living the life he would have wanted her to live. She knew he would want her to be happy, to pursue her dreams, and to never give up on herself. With this newfound sense of purpose, Emily felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She knew that she still had a long way to go but was ready for whatever lay ahead. Looking forward. As Emily looked out at the ocean one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that Jack was no longer physically present but felt his spirit guiding her towards a brighter future. "I'll always love you," she whispered into the wind, knowing that wherever Jack was, he would always be with her in spirit.